establishing yourself in the present moment, chanting together as one body, releasing ourselves from the superiority complex, the inferiority complex, and the equality complex.
When the đơn quá. Hả? Ê, xin mọi người làm cái vòng tròn. Chúng mình đâu bao nhiêu rồi mà. Thôi đó là giống như trong sa mạc á. Bring Thay's cushion here.
Okay.
Rồi xong thấy ông có mặt. Đại diện. This is much better. Thank you. Hai cái luôn ha. Trời ơi. Này cần đi vô không?
Yeah.
Does it need to go into? Oh yeah. Say this?
This is from Suya.
Oh. Thank you. Nếu hết đường có người cứu. Thank you sư bà. Cái phút này hạnh phúc quá. Có sư mẹ đó. Có chồng nữa. Chắc sao nó không có đứng lên đâu. Em mở đi. Thank you Sam. Này mở rồi hả? Trời phải. Cái này phải nộp bài. Sao? Seriously? Ủa vậy nữa? À. Eventually it will be implanted, right? All of us have a... Thank you everyone for, you know, this feels better. Let's be together with our teacher. He's bring awareness that he's still on this planet with us physically. He's on the other side of the Pacific Ocean, just a little bit over, and we're there with our the physical body of our teacher. But if we close our eyes and we breathe, and we can touch our teacher right in the present moment, sitting here with us, beside us, and within our breath. And we know many of us have been in the presence of our teacher. It's quite at ease, makes us feel at ease, some of us, but definitely makes us feel more mindful and very concentrated. So let's come back with that. So sit relaxingly, no frown, okay, somewhere. Relax. We are a beautiful family, and we touch our Sangha, our family. And you know that's Thai's greatest happiness, is to see his children come together. And we can touch that happiness. Thai's happiness is our happiness. Sao miệng khô quá. Dear respected Thai, dear beloved community, especially the Brown family today, Brown and Bald I call them. Every time I hear or think about monastic retreat, it's the Hermitage in France, and when you're over there, it's 3 hamlets gathered in Thai's little building. So it's quite tight. So when I hear monastic retreat, it's like, you know, and I come and I see you guys like spread out like the agave plant or the coyote. Every time I hear monastic retreat, it's very ấm cúng, it's very cozy, very warm in the heart, and it's also very warm physically. Because you gather in Thai's French villa is a little, and we have to be downstairs and upstairs and in the kitchen and sometime outside, but everyone squeeze in, and the translation is a mess, but we all find out what to do. People who want to sit near Thai, they come early, but the ones coming later, they also want to be in the front, so they have to squeeze in. And those are the brothers and sisters, sometimes they're kind of new, yeah? And they have to cross everybody, and they're behind, and you can see the sisters and brothers all have to dodge. But it's very sweet because nobody ever get to say, no, go out. Everyone have to squeeze and put their backpack on their lap and make room for that brother or sister. Usually it's actually a brother because they, they just pile their way in, and you see, and some room will open. And I remember sometimes sitting and go, okay, that's it, no more. And sure enough, another van come, and one or two will come in, and we all have to. It's very sweet. I mean, if you look at it, it could be annoying, but that's something I will never forget. It could be annoying, but it could also be just how lovely our family is, how we accommodate and we don't make one brother or sister feel like they don't belong, right? We everyone, I remember all the backpack come onto our lap just to make a little room. And then, he takes out the translation thing, and it has to go. And I think Thay was very patient because he sit and he wait, he drink tea, and so I just remember that aspect of our spiritual family. And luckily, I've never got tired of it. I never get sick of gathering. Because maybe I grew up in a family of 4 children, and my family, extended family, my cousin and my aunt also lived in the same house upstairs in Vietnam. So particularly, I'm okay. And I grew up with a lot of friends and groups. So I don't mind a lot of people, but I know it's challenging for some brothers that are very familiar with their own room and their own private space. But luckily, I'm one of those who, as you can see, I like to participate and be with the Sangha. So I think when I heard that you were having a monastic retreat, I was definitely, I asked my family, especially my brothers and sisters, if they can take care of my dad for a week or 2 and come up here. So I'm very grateful to my blood family, my sibling, and I'm really grateful for you for being here and for having the wisdom to do a retreat to nourish ourselves. Many times we just, I know there's a wake-up retreat coming, and I just feel, I wish Magnolia and Blue Cliff could be with us too. I hope they can have the retreat, but that's something I know we all, many of us enjoy, and it nourishes us to interact. So thank you, and also for, I use this opportunity to express my gratitude too. In about a month and a half, I will be 1 year outside of Plum Village. So I feel very grateful, and I'm very thankful that the Sangha has allowed me to go home and take care of my father and my family. But I'm so lucky to also be near Deer Park, to be also with the winter retreat here, and now the monastic retreat. And I feel it's, the Sangha keeps going, and I feel so grateful because I feel I still cherish the Sangha, my brothers and sisters, like the very first day. I looked deeply when I heard I was going to share something, and that's basically, and actually, I want to, maybe you're interested in how I was maybe managed to do that. I imagine, for me to share with you is I was thinking like, well, what do I share? It's like so many, you're exposed to so many teaching. But as I guess an elder brother in the Sangha, you probably want to know, like, how do you manage to, after 20 years still be, Sangha building and happy doing it? And I think many of you are wondering because, as you know, not all of us will make it and want to continue our monastic life. And that is, when you accept that, that means you are mature. You understand that life is constantly evolving, and it's not a sadness, but it actually helps you cherish that what you still have, the Sangha, as well as what you have in your valuing the Sangha. So for me, this is the most precious thing that a monk or a nun can hold on to. It's not their concentration, it's not their realization, insight, but it's their ability to keep their beginner's mind. Their, is like you watch any couple, they come together, first year, second year, third year, you begin to not value each other anymore. But luckily in the Sangha, we have the practice, so we learn to cherish, we practice to cherish each day, each moment, each breath. So this is something that to maintain and to sustain it, to nourish it and make it thrive is the most precious thing. And it is the koan that our teacher has given us after all his years of experience. Like we heard this morning, Thay went through the training. He did the traditional temple, traditional Vietnamese, traditional Zen. He also did the hardcore folding full lotus nhập thất as well in the Thanh Từ, Ông Thanh Từ bamboo forest tradition in Vietnam. So I have found a recent picture of Thay and Ông Thanh Từ and Ông Mạng Giác, and they were in Kim Sơn. Someone put it on the website of Thiền viện Từ Đức gì đó ở Việt Nam. So the picture, it shows Thay very young. So he also was hardcore. And in reflecting, I see that Thay is kind of woke up from that, and from that experience, you see what will continue is the community, the Sangha. Is that Sangha is the homeland. So here, Sangha as a homeland is like a place, but actually Sangha is the path. But more importantly is Sangha is a practice. So this for me is the key. So Sangha is not the brothers and sisters. Sangha is not just the Deer Park, environment. Sangha is a practice, and it is the challenge that Thay give to the Buddhism of the 21st century, the community. And you can see that is exactly why the world is suffering. This pandemic this last year is because people are tested because they're asked to think of other people. The mask is not for you. And you see which countries have a hard time. And community as well. So I think these things some of you have touched, but for me, after 20-something years, I see that it was a challenge to actually let go of my preferences and my individual needs and character. There was a lot of that, and you can't get rid of it all of it. As you know, we try to be part of the community, but each one of us, we are very particular. So our individuality, don't have to worry about it. You'll never lose that quality. But as a Sangha practice, is a training to somehow maintain that that value for the community, to cherish, to serve. There's an aspect I really reflected on, is I want to live in the Sangha in such a way that when I am not there, people miss me as well as I miss the Sangha. That is actually what a relationship is. If you live in the Sangha but you kind of like keep your distance, then it's very easy to like go and no one cares, or you don't care. So there's that kind of a relationship in living in the Sangha, when each one of us will find our place in relation. Of course, everything is not communal and collective. There's also individual development. And that's what you bring, what you offer to the Sangha. My home visit, I got to, interact with a lot of my family members, my brothers, and his wife and his kids. My youngest brother has two, now she's a teenager, 13, ready to go to high school, 14, ready to go to high school, my niece. And nephew, his name is Atlas, and Lily. And I have two younger nieces, my oldest sister's daughter. My sister is divorced. And so the two nieces, one of them, they're both in college, and they're both going through their adolescent. And, anyway, it's life, right? But I got to, being at home, taking care of my father, I was able to have like many birthdays, just this birthday, that birthday. And it's wonderful because opportunity for my mom to cook, and everyone come over. And my brother, who didn't get the vaccine, so he had to. But anyway, allow me, I had my schedule, morning sitting. I do working, gardening with my mother, trying to fix the house. I try to set a schedule. I have working, I have hammock, nap time, and I have a study time, afternoon, and I have a class with the novice brothers. And then evening I sometimes bike, or when it's cooler, I bike to the local university for exercise, do some qigong. But at home I was able to, it was a good practice. I've never been outside of the monastery for more than 2 weeks. Usually I go home visit for 2 weeks and I go back to France. So this is the first time ever I stay at home for almost a year. I literally stayed at home. And I take my dad to the doctor. No friends visit. I had one friend visit at home, but I don't do the, whatever, try to keep in touch. So it's really healing, but it helped me, re-fortify my choice to be a monastic, because I see my siblings and their family, and actually I see my brother and I go over their place and I see he's more mature than I am, because he has 2 children. And when you become a father, you're very, it's like you have to pack things, you have to worry for their safety, their health. He was, so I felt like I was younger than my youngest brother. I felt like I was still a teenager. I was like, you worrying for what? And I reflected a lot And my mom, she's going through her phase of grandma, you know. And my sister, older than me, just got divorced, and she's reflecting. She takes me out for lunch, and we have conversation, and she's reflecting what she wants to do, because she's an accountant, auditor, money, but it doesn't nourish her. So she wants to go into tourism and she likes to take care of people and make sure they have a good time. That was her insight. She realized she likes to cook, and I've never seen her in the kitchen when I was young, helping my mom or anything. You know, she was always somewhere else. My brother and I helped my mom. But now she loves to cook. And she invites me over for pasta, for lasagna, for bún, for hủ tiếu. And she makes very good curry. And so I see my brothers and sister changing, and I make me reflect about myself. And I see the different phases, you know, the adolescent. So it really made me see like our monastic life. We also go through phases. When we first enter, we also kind of like, you know, care for, and everybody cưng you, right? Take care of you, like when you're dependent. And then you go through adolescent, and then you're like, I'm not doing that. You know, no, that's not for me. You know, you start to challenge everything. Just like my two nieces right now. You say white, they say black. You say hot, they say cold. And that's part of their nature. And I think we all know this, we've observed it. I think this last year I got to kind of be in it. And I see my sister, she's done her career, she's very successful. She can go anywhere. But again, she's on her reflective phase. So she's older than me, 2 years old. And I think that's also a phase that we go through as human beings. So there's like a childhood, right? Dependent, adolescent, when you want to rebel against your parents. And then after adolescent, you become an adult. You're more mature, responsible. You begin to see your place. You begin to create your own kind of like refuge, your house, your garage, your family, your wife, your husband, your children, your partner. And then when you hit around 50, you start to wonder, what did I do, or why did I do what I do? That's my sister. And in America, they call it midlife crisis. And sometime as a monk, you get to a period, I think it's around 20, like my time. Or maybe when you become a Dharma teacher, you start to wonder, it's like, God, did I really, you know, and you get tempted to actually look at other ways of being a monastic or different lifestyle, right? That's happened to a lot of our monks and nuns. You also go through a midlife crisis. Especially now with Thay no longer guiding us and inspiring us and challenging us, we begin to question that. And I see it as very natural for us to wonder, is this really where I want to spend the rest of my life? You know, this is part of the process of the human experience, the reflective. And the Buddha in India was the same thing. This is exactly what the Buddha was going through, or Siddhartha, right? Had a wife, had a kid. What was the Rahula? See? Right? And looking, it's like, God, you know, what am I going to offer my family? And the last phase in Indian culture is the contemplative, reflective phase. When you begin to actually really accept your death and think about like, what is life about? What is the purpose? What is most meaningful? My mom is going through that. So she's telling me every day something about her history. and she wants to write a book. Did my mom tell you she wants to write a book? Yeah. She tells everybody she's going to write a book. You know, is the need, when you get to be grandma, you want to either write a book, plant a tree, get your kid to have grandchildren. Is the need to, it's like the tree looking down and like, where's all my seeds, my fruits? Because you want continuation and legacy. You know, I donate to that university, make sure it has my name on it. Because it's a fear that you will become nothing and not be remembered. You know, my grandma, she took a picture of her. She knew I was a monk, and we have altar. And my grandma, when she found out I was a monk, she was so happy because we have altars. Because my aunt, her daughter in North Carolina, was going to take my grandma, and she follows what is the Christian, she's Christian, she converted to Christianity, the born-again Christian, she's a born-again Christian. They don't have altar, they don't do ancestor thing. So my grandma was going to go to North Carolina. So when I go home and visit, my grandma was like, oh, and she take me in her room, she gave me a picture of her. She dressed up very beautifully, and she gave me a picture of her. I don't like it because it's, you know, too, I have another picture of my grandma. But she said, Hổ, nhớ về cúng cho ma nghe. She's only worried that I will not, that she told me, make sure I offer her food on the altar. She's not afraid of dying, but she's afraid that nobody will remember her. Isn't that amazing? That is the last phase. When you know that the door of, you know, of transition is coming. So it hits you around, I don't know when it hits you now, but in India is the last phase. And then the Buddha knew all this, Siddhartha. And he said, you know, I'm not going to wait to that. You know, it's too late. And this is the path of the monastic, is that we don't want to wait until we're 60 to go like, what is the purpose of life? You know, and what am I going to give? What do I have to offer? Of course, you know, it's not for everybody. Some people want to make a family, have a partner, you know, someone to hug you at night. You know, there's that need as well. And someone want to make a family, you know, they have many paths. For me, I was never interested in raising a family. I am sure of it now after 1 year of home visit. I swear. I look at my brother, I'm like, oh man. They come over and, you know, I mean, it's nice to have your wife, but like constantly reminding you and telling you and, trời ơi, you know, it's like, how do you say, it's like you see cái hang, you're like, oh man, I'm so glad I didn't go there. But it's not for everyone, you know. Is actually, I have to say that, you know, it's like there's some of us who choose to, we value our độc thân, our bachelor life. It's probably related to a kind of freedom, and it goes to the heart of the path, that we value our freedom. And this is not a kind of freedom to do whatever you want, but it's a kind of freedom of, I don't know, it's like strings, you know, it's like attachment, right? Like you dependent on people and this and that. Even my mother, you know, it's like, you know, I wake up and it's like, I know you want muesli. She has prepared everything already. I know how to make muesli, But she has the pot there, the muesli there, and you know, all the nuts, you know, and you wake up and you're like, oh, you feel her love, but you know, you can only do that so much. Mother is love, right? And you also want to be kind of like, is lu lin yin yin nang nang, or it's like, that's the way the love of attachment is. Even mother, huh? I'm sorry, you know, I hope my mom doesn't hear this, but I told her, I told my mom that it's a kind of liberation, not that you don't love your mother or your mother doesn't love you, but it's that kind of freedom that we all actually, I don't know, I'm assuming you all want the same thing. And that's why you're in this community, or that you touch something. And that is the challenge, because we know we enjoy that kind of spaciousness, but then we also need each other. You're constantly, right, in dynamics, and that is the beauty of community. It's very alive. I think we heard this morning, or I heard Thay share, like the needs of humans is to have physical needs, physical comfort, the environment, the material things, physical health. And then there's an emotional need, a kind of need of intimacy, a need of feeling cared for, feeling missed, as well feeling that you have someone to care for. So that's the kind of need that we all have to recognize as well. That's the difficulty of being human, as well as the preciousness, the treasure of being human. And that for me, living in the community, I've learned to handle that, learn how to know which kind of intimacy, the kind of need that is too much, and when to actually provide that need for myself. So I think that's the balance between living in the community, feeling that warmth, but also feeling that for yourself, that you're able to generate what Thay would call the solidity, that ability to actually be your best friend. And for me, that's one of the secret, is know how to touch that for yourself, know how to nourish yourself, to know what you have, your weaknesses, your strength, and know how that can fit and how that can help in the community, what you can offer. As I think they sometimes say, find your niche is the phrase, right? And that is constantly playing. And for me, that's what I've done. And it changes as you know, after 3 years, 5 years, there's many stages in monastic. You know, the first stage, you're nervous, you want to show off and, you know, do everything, and Thay see you and call your name, and, you know, you recognize, and wow, his bodhicitta is so strong, look at him practice, you know. And then you get to a phase where you're kind of like, okay, now I know how Plum Village work, I know who to watch out for, which brother and sisters, and you know how to nag, and how to close one eye, right? No come shared one time, you know. And you learn to be skillful in the community. And how do you say, Thay would say, taking root. You guys hear that? Sometimes you hear, I don't hear that often anymore, but when I was first coming to the community, yeah, taking root, or finding, more translated, find connection, find relation. For me, that's an ongoing thing. as you can imagine. But taking root also has, recently I've been reflecting a lot about how to assimilate, meaning you make the energy, the will, the need, the expectation of the community your own, or Thay, his aspiration for monasticism. And this requires us to learn about our tradition, learn about our teacher. The only way you can value something is when you understand it. When you understand something, you understand why you practice, why we gather for walking meditation. It's not, if you don't understand, it's just, you're like the military, right? Just do because you're told to do. But if you understand why you're doing it, what is this place in the world, and why is it important to people, then you begin to value it, you begin to protect it, practice it, cherish it, make it flourish, develop it. So everything you need to understand. So Sangha is a very deep practice because it's constantly challenging us. Because that is also a habit of our family, our culture, our time, is the individual is very strong in us, in me. That was very challenging for me at the beginning. I was raised in America, and it's actually that's still a challenge and I see it more now, a lot more, and I get to choose. So there's that. So freedom is not freedom to do anything. Freedom is when you know, and if you're mindful and you're concentrated, and if your determination is strong enough, then you choose. So freedom is not like oblivious. It's freedom here is you get to choose, right? When you recognize that, okay, this is my habit, now you get to choose. Do I want to do that, or do I do this? Most of the time when we react out of a habit, of a reactivity, there's no choice. It's already decided. So for me, that is a kind of a constant challenge to watch, and that is I love it, because that's the equivalent of living in a family. It's not easy. You're always having something. So Thay, I think that that is one of his thing he's left for us, and that he sees it as a medicine, as a koan, as a challenge for a kind of a new Buddhism, the emphasis on the Sangha. We take it for granted, but it's not very emphasized before the Sangha, the Sangha jewel. And you can see it is very hard. After 20 years, you can see I am very closer and closer to the bell. All my elders have rụng hết rồi, là sao? Wilted, right? And the next one is I go on the altar, But I don't see it like that. I've kind of learned to see differently. Now I look at the Sangha not as individual who, is she going to be around anymore, Nyaknim, or you going to... But I see the Sangha as a forest. Like you go up the mountain, you look down, and you see the new green color of the oak trees. So I've learned to actually look at the Sangha. I don't go, còn mấy người lớn, còn mấy người nhỏ. It's like I see it is growing, it's flourishing. And, brothers and sisters are also leaving. And it used to make me really, yeah, it took a while, to heal and process. A little angry, but now, recently, Phap Ho kind of shocked me. I was like, wow. And actually, I heard recently that Phap Dung now has a partner. I don't know if that's true, but is it Phap Dung? You were with him, huh? Yeah, and I was like, no way, you kidding me? That age and you're still, wow. Oh. But actually, that's what happens. It's the intimacy, to feel like you have someone to care for and you feel like someone cares for you. And we try to mimic that in the Sangha with second body, with groups, with coming together, cooking together. There's a challenge, because, you have to be accountable, right? So there's a cost to everything. So you think that's like, oh, he's free, he gets to choose his partner, he can do whatever he wants, but there's a cost to it. Just like when you're in the community, there's also certain things that you have to let go. Like waking up when you want, not going because you want, for me, that's a mature way. I feel like I'm a little bit more mature in demanding these things. I used to be very mischievous or rebellious. I remember I was just looking at the schedule. I was like, okay, when can I do my own thing in this schedule? I recognize it because I have to do something this retreat. And I was figuring out, it's like you don't look at the schedule as a collective, but you try to find where you can do your own individual thing in it. I don't know, does that happen to you? And that's a very strong habit. And many other things, and I can't go through them now. But for me, the question is, we have to understand slowly in the Sangha why we are here, why Thay has emphasized on monastic. When he first came to the West, he didn't emphasize so much the monastic tradition. In fact, that's why he created the order of interbeing. The 14 mindfulness training was a training to merge the monastic and the lay. I don't know if celibacy was involved, but Suko Chang Kong was very proud to say that she and the other two women were celibate, and the first three OI members were not celibate. So, but I think it is, Thay was exploring engaged Buddhism and learning how community and the precept, the ethics, can be ingrained in the life. And then Thay began to grow as he saw in the West that actually monasticism is very needed. And that he focused on the monastic in the 80s. And the OI member got very upset. Lynn Fine, I had a talk with her, and she told me about that period. Many of the older OI member, Dharma teacher now, they were very upset because Thay no longer pay attention to cái giới tiếp hiện á. And he pay attention now more to train the monastic, because he see the intimacy to teacher and student. If it's close and it's 24 hours, 365 days a year, then when the intimacy is strong, Thay can trim you more effectively. Meaning there's trust between teacher and student, and then Thay will, his way of Thay, trying to hold a kind of, there's a way of training, and I felt it sometime with Thay. With some of my brothers who got reprimanded by Thay. And for me, that is what I very much cherish about our teacher. He doesn't want you to be hâm mộ là cái gì? To be worshipping Thầy. That is like, you do that to Thầy, he will like send you out of here in like that. I remember in this, when Thầy had a hut here, I was attending Thầy, and the sister shared, Thầy, last night I had a dream of you. I was sick, and I dreamt of you in my dream, and you came, you talked to me, and I woke up and I was cured. And Thầy said, sư cô tu tật rồi, về quay lại đi. Oh my God, I was like, trời ơi. You know, this sister was like, oh Thầy, you know, and then Thầy just like, baboosh, and I was like, man. Thầy, you know, and she was sick again for a whole month, you know. Thầy said that, strong không? Không biết không biết sư cô tình nhiên còn around không, but I was, anyway, Thầy, what I want to share is like Thầy wants us to be solid and free in that particular way. Do you understand the freedom that I'm touching, what I'm sharing about? And each one of us will need to find out what that is. That kind of freedom is the internal freedom. And for me, that's the most precious thing that we can have as a human being, as a human experience in this lifetime, relative to your parents, your mother, your father, whether they are here or not, with your siblings, with your friends, with any element in the world. So this is not just material things, it's much more subtle even. Your needs, your need for intimacy, your need for healing, feeling like you're valued and needed. You know, there's very subtle aspects of the human psyche that we can, I don't want to say liberate, but to recognize and to accommodate and navigate. Some of us, many of us, will not heal completely, and it's okay. We have wounds, we have notions, we have habits from our ancestors. And I see it in my two nieces growing up. Oh my God, from baby till now, they are, what are they? They 18 and 16. Oh my God. I mean, I see their mom and their dad in them like copy, you know, like a Xerox. Trời ơi. And you have to, you know, I try so hard to teach her to be kind, to be sharing. When I go home visit, we used to give her 2 cake so she can give one to her niece. We do everything, but still now she's, my God, one, you know, soap opera show. And that's not to say it's bad. It's just we also cannot, I don't want to say escape, but if we don't practice, it is like cái nghiệp. Trời ơi, nó rõ shit chẳng. Up to the point mà bà của nó nói, trời ơi sao mà nó giống con hơn 200%. Her father shared to my mom, her grandma. He said, she is so much like me, like 200%. She's worse than me. You know, I hope this doesn't go home because I learned so much being at home. Trời ơi, what I realize is you cannot escape all your vong. You know, you cannot escape all the nghiệp, and it's okay. I think I've come to accept that. You know, I don't know if the Buddha escaped all of it. Probably, because near the end, you know, he still had to pay some family debts, and he probably suffered as well to see his relatives being murdered. So I imagine he, as getting age and seeing that there are certain things you can't even stop. So for me, it is also visiting in the family, you see it play out, the selfishness, the self-centeredness, and I can't correct it because only she, through her suffering and falling and going through the pain, that she will maybe wake up and ask for help. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So if it's true for my niece, it is also true for me. It is also true for you. That there are certain, we practice so we can slowly liberate ourselves from some of this, to heal and to liberate. But there's some of it that is still going to be nagging at you, even after 20 years, 40 years. And that is a kind of, I've come to a little bit more patient with. And this is to say that we learn how to hold it, embrace it. And in the Sangha is learning how to navigate. I like this. I use it a lot in my practice. I learn how to navigate myself, depending on the season. We're very lucky in our Sangha. We our lifestyle is very rhythmic, seasonal, and rotational, right? Outside, my brother, my sister, 9 to 5, every day of the year. They get 2 weeks of vacation if they're lucky. For us, we change rotation, we change season, we have lazy periods, and then lazy period, and then lazy period. But we study, we practice, sometimes we're diligent, some we're relaxed. And this dynamic, sometimes we're lazy, sometimes we're more physical, we exercise, sometimes we... And each one of us have to learn how to navigate the season within ourselves, within each other, in our relationship. In front of some of our elder sisters, some of my elder brother, I learned how to be skillful, right? My younger ones, I'm a little different. So you learn how to, it's very different from, I hear that many brothers share chai mak, you live in the Sangha, for you to be happy, you have to chai mak, mok mak. Something about it that I don't like, it's the chai mak, One day you're going to run into a wall because, mình đi cái đường đuôi mắt là mình chết. Nếu mình may á, mình đi cái đường này. But for me, it's more like you see it, but you kind of, you need canoeing, For me, it's not like I don't know that there is an eddy there, but I learn how to swing it. Tại mình phải biết chứ, cái này chai mắt là dễ bị thương lắm. Anyway, something about that. But I understand. And this is not to say you don't look at the elephant. It is to say that everyone is trying to do their best. Everyone is trying to do their best. And people have come here to try to liberate themselves, and they're going through something. Nobody wants to be where they are at, because the karma of their family, their genetic, their ancestry has come. You see the courage, the power that is needed to overcome when it's time. Because you might be fine now, you are in maybe adolescent, maybe in flourishing phase of your life, when everything is kind of like, wow, smooth. But it's not always going to be like that. Sometimes you will be faced when an undercurrent will come, And I've had that come up with me once. I had depression in the Sangha as well. And recently with my father, it touched my seed of sadness for a human life, my father, and what he had to go through. And I became very sad. And in Plum Village, when I was there, it was very difficult because everyone wants to help you and think there's something that they can do. And for you, you want to maybe be like Phap Dung, like everyone knows, but you can't because there's like this flux. And that is the disharmony. And you have to learn how to be with that. What did I do? I rode my bike almost every day. I don't know if I lose it, but you know, and it was releasing the energy, and I had to adjust. So each one of us, depending on what comes up, and this is assuming you do want to make the choice to liberate yourself. Not everyone wants to, because it's much easier to actually not be in a place where you have to deal with it. You know, we say here you have a lot of time to contemplate, to do deep looking, but sometimes, man, you don't want to be doing any of that. You'd rather be just like, you know, having drama and like having to take care of things. And I remember talking to a brother who left, and you know, he's busy. You know, his French brother, he had very many Sangha to go to. But I remember he shared that the hardest thing for him was being tempted to leave the Sangha because he get a lot of admiration. And that's what you have to deal with, is the drama, and keep him very busy. Because it's, like I share in the Sangha, it's nice to live with your brothers and sisters, but there comes a point where, gosh, you know, you don't want to live with all these people because they kind of know you. You know, it's like you'd rather be with people who kind of know you a little bit, but you can still be kind of like, you know, doing your own thing. You know, many I've seen, it's very difficult to live with a group of brothers and sisters who kind of see you. It's not like the other one is like, they don't know me, they don't understand me, right? That's usually, you know, the case, right? It's like, oh, they don't understand me, they'll never understand me. But you know what's even harder is living with people who know your habit, who know that, you know, that is not the best of you, or that is not the deepest of you. And that's the tough one, you know. And I don't know if you know what I mean, but it's not like them knowing you, but it's you actually knowing that it's not your best. It's an internal, it has something to do with sincerity, integrity, and maturing. That are you able to accept yourself as that, and them like that? There's this constant disharmony in living in community, and we have to learn how to navigate that. I have some difficulty with a brother or sister. You know what is the most valuable thing about Sangha? Is you have 15 other brothers and sisters to go play with, to be with. You don't have to deal with them 24 hours for 7 days a week. In the family, only 2 doors, in and out, 24 hours. You know, they're not structured like a village, you know. That's why it's so unhealthy. I see why my siblings, you know, his wife know him so well that she does it before he thinks it, and he gets so annoyed. And I see it, and I'm like, God. You know, it's like, it's really annoying when someone like keeps like okay. You know, I saw, you see the, it's like, I don't know how you could do it. I mean, it just makes my heart kind of ngợp just thinking about it. Recently, my mom, sorry, I was at home visit, so I have a lot of stuff. She rented a room out for a young man from a college. You know, she has 2 rooms. She rents them out for a university student because she lived near university. And he was moving back to support his father. And his girlfriend come over to help him clean the room. And I was in the outer room working. And I hear everything between the boyfriend and girlfriend. One part I had to ngừng lại mà cười một mình luôn á. You know, I'm biased and I only share this in front of you, so I know partnership and having relationship is good and we support it, we support family and children. But speaking from a biased point of view, from someone who likes to be độc thân, to be single, is, oh my God, it was so awful. The girlfriend, she's constantly saying, honey, can you do this? Honey, honey. I kept hearing the word honey. And it's not used like sweet honey anymore, but like, honey, honey. And I couldn't even do my work because the word honey kept being used as a kind of like, you know, I'm sorry, but that's when 2 people know each other too well and there's no other place to release it. You see I'm not saying that doesn't happen in the Sangha, but it's a little bit better. See the word navigation? You know, and this is the truth of it. I don't want to, you have to be very realistic if you want to be living happily, freely, and authentically in the Sangha, is to accept that people are all trying to do their best, and there's a period, a season going through them, and the best you can do is navigate. So when springtime, you know when to smell the flower. Wintertime, you know when to bring some warm clothing out. And for me, that is, if I look at my life in 20 years, mindfulness, concentration, sitting, the schedule, you know, I can tell you tell me a brother or sister, I can tell you how I've learned to relate to them and how I try to understand them. I can't understand them fully, but enough so that I don't hold ill feelings towards them. You never understand them enough, let alone yourself enough, because that's constantly dynamic, changing, and depending on the relationship. So it's never that you're, okay, now I know who I am and where I fit, because that is dynamic. You're always in relation, moving. And for me, that is and the mindfulness energy, when I practice and I'm concentrated, I'm less dispersed. You know, the stuff we're learning in the novice class, to watch your body, your breath, and your mind, your emotion. These things help us to navigate. There's emotion and there's the psychology, emotional and psychological. We need to be aware that there's the tình cảm. Nó có 2 loại. There's the emotional part, the kind of like child, mother, love, and then there's a psychological part where it's about your notion, your ideas, your the things that you when you recognize that your weaknesses. So it's a little bit more, or your strengths, or what you enjoy. So it's less emotional and like kind of like up and down-ish, but it's also there. This need to find, finding your talent is also related to that. So it's that aspect of the mind. So our practice of mindfulness, concentration, it helps cultivate us to understand ourselves better, understand our sister, our brothers. And we don't have to understand everyone completely, but we just know that we are here and we're hopefully looking for that same thing, to touch that kind of freedom. And everyone has limitations and how much they can touch it in that season. Anyway, I tell you, that's the secret. I always see in the relations of the season. Someone is going through winter right now, even though we are in spring. And that's where they're at. But you don't hold ill feelings because you know you've been there as well. You've been in winter right in the middle of summer. And you just, as a Buddhist, as a practitioner, as a human being, God, to hold ill feelings towards others is so, you get sick. And that's one thing we can offer people, is our positive, our compassion, they call it. I don't want to call it compassion. It is our, you don't hold ill feelings. Ill feeling. I don't know if that's the right word, but for me, that's what and as soon as I see it rise, because I've worked with this brother or sister, and we have Dharma. Man, it got really. I've yelled at one of the older sister one time, and she said, "You hang up and you call me back when you have a hold of your breath." And I was like, this should go on the other line too, And she was right. And I called her back. I was like, "Okay, CJ, I'm ready." Sometimes people make you have like explosive summer right in the middle of winter, And, and I accept myself, I have weaknesses when I deal with certain things, I blow up. And you begin anew, and you understand that she's right. And you write a letter, you apologize, we have practice. And all of it is to accept ourselves, our weakness, but we know what to do. So Thay say you have a right to suffer, but you don't have a right not to practice. That's what he means. You have a right to make a mistake, but choose to apologize and change your direction. So the freedom in Buddhism is to choose. That for me, when I realized that helped me not to see freedom as in this concept, but it is a freedom to practice, to choose. So the more we begin to understand how our feelings work, our body, the different signals, that understanding will help us see more clearly some undercurrents, and we choose. That's so, and it's a life's work, huh? It's not, I have so much more work to do, And they have phases, I would love to work on the phases of a monastic. I wrote an outline once of the noble exit, how to leave the Sangha nobly, but also how to stay in the Sangha and go through the phases. Adolescent nè, đòi hỏi, được cưng nè. Sau adolescent là đòi hỏi nè. Cái sao mình biết mọi chuyện biết hết rồi, trừ mình là có gì đó, what is the tree, có tri rồi, mình có được làm chức á, được cử ra làm accounting, visa, paperwork, and then you kind of like get you know, or like your abbot, you know, and then you question. It's like, man, you know, my elders, the Dharma Teacher Council, trời ơi, lộn xộn quá. You know, and then you begin to, you know, there's many phases. And how to, and they don't happen like that. They're constantly happening. Có lúc mình cũng lớn rồi mà cũng đòi hỏi. Anyway, it's just my way of humanizing the monastic training, not as an excuse, but to be aware. Là mình có những cái chất lượng này. We have these seeds, this need in us. You know, these different phases, and they don't end there. You know, when you, after 20 years, you still want to be kung. You still kind of want to be like, needed. You feel want to be useful. You still want to contribute. That's always part of the community life, right? Even outside, tới tuổi già mẹ còn nhõng nhẽo giống như em bé, chị cũng cần gì đó, mình hỏi thăm. You know, it's so beautiful. We have all those seeds, and I think recently at a retreat, we had a retreat which went online, and I read the feedback, and they say, next time I wish our Sangha, our group was facilitated by a monastic, because they only had lay friend. And I go like, wow, you know, what's the difference? Still getting the practice, but they want a monastic in their group because all other group have monastic. And I was like, wow, some of my brothers and sisters probably facilitate worse than some of the lay OI members. You never know, right? But it doesn't matter to them. They want a bald and brown robe facilitator. And for me, I don't feel the difference, but for them, it matters. At least this one feedback. And it made me reflect on, they really don't know my brothers and sisters. But I think that is what we represent when Thay say we represent the Buddha and the Sangha. So it's not us and our talent, but it is actually, it's that relationship they want with a monastic. So there is a kind of need there. Interesting. I mean, I'm still reflecting on it and how we have to, the Thay's realization to emphasize on the monastic life is probably related to that. As well as our brothers and sisters is much more fresh, I have to say, sometime. Về mỏi chân hả? You know, I'm very grateful for you, for my younger brothers, my novice brothers. I see is Thay's wish. I share with you one of my aspirations of our teacher that I make mine is his deep desire that one or maybe a lot of the monastic will be Western American, and they love this path to the end, not like to try it out until you're kind of sick of it. But Thay was very adamant, and he even shared it like, okay, and then our work is done, con mình đi về. That means we go back to Vietnam. But I think he's more like he wants an American Buddhism, monastic Buddhism, to take root and grow. That's why he doesn't want us to build, you know, a Dai Dang here. He wants to keep it like neutral until the American monk or nun will love this path and will make the physical place be a manifestation of that love. You understand? Thay, when Thay asked me to design this, we went driving around Vermont looking at the barns. You know the cow barn? Thay said, don't make anything Asian. He wanted us to look at the cow barns. And Thay designed this building on a napkin, on a dining table. He drew this thing, and then, you know, when we drove, he stopped and he looked out the window. He said, con thấy cái nhà đó, cái nhà bò đỏ đỏ đó không? Thầy muốn cái hình thức đó. He said, look at that. You see that barn up there on the hill? I want the meditation hall to look like that, like this. You know, he doesn't want cong. Anyway, it's nothing big deal, but you can see Thay's vision. He wants something that naturally will come from the heart of people who live here in this culture. And it's not, we don't know what it looks like, but we know that it will not look completely Vietnamese or Asian. And that same thing with the practice, and we are discovering. But more and more I see it's not going to be Western American, but it's going to be global. I think it will look very neutral. Huh? So in that here, and as a, you know, just to share the deep wish of our teacher, and it's not for everyone, but it's at least for me and for some of us. So anyway, I just share with you what some of the things that gone through my head, looking at you here, Manim. And I'm very grateful that you guys have chosen the path, and if anything, I share that we do it together. We don't have to do it individually. We fail together, we bẻ dĩa together, we succeed together, we suffer together, as well as succeed together. That's much better than a nuclear family with just one door in and out. Thank you.
Italian brothers. Thank you, Phap Dung, for that wonderfully intimate drawing talk. Give him flowers. It is now lunchtime, and I'm very hungry. And also, I want to give a reminder on the rest of the day. The rest of the day, we're going to have Dharma sharing. And then after that, we're going to have, we'll have fast walking. But the Dharma sharing will be 2 groups for today. So it'll be a group in here and a group outside. And that will be at 3:30. So 3:30 and then 5. And then the rest of the day we're off and we're resting. Thank you, Sangha.
No evening? No evening sitting or anything?
No, rest.
Wow. What a retreat, cool. Easy.